Hello, Bentonia Baptist Church YouTube listeners. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, JJ White. Today we're going to be hitting the high points once again in Philippians. We're still in chapter 1. And today we're going to be hitting one of the most popular verses in really all of the Bible, especially when it comes to the book of Philippians. We're in Philippians chapter 1. Let's just get right into the text. Look at what God's word says in verse 21. This is Paul, still writing from prison. He says this: "For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. But if I live on in the flesh, this will mean fruit from my labor. Yet what I shall choose I cannot tell, for I am hard pressed between the two, having a desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better." This is the situation Paul finds himself in. He's in prison, and he has got himself in this spot where he doesn't know if he would rather live on or die and go and be with the Lord. At this point in Paul's life, he spent many years in service to God. Part of him is ready to go and meet his Maker, but part of him also still wants to continue working for Christ, sharing the gospel. And Paul has this certain mindset and frame of mind that leads him to say this. He says, "For me to live is Christ." Now, this is a popular verse, and we go around quoting this verse a lot. We plaster it on billboards, and we use it as a catchphrase for youth groups and church logos and all that kind of stuff. But what does it really mean to live for Christ? What does it mean to say, "For me to live is Christ"? What does that mean? Well, it means exactly what Paul says. He says, "For me to live is Christ and to die is gain." And he tells you what he means when he says living for Christ. He says, if I live on in the flesh, this will mean fruit from my labor. Paul knows that if he lives, his life will be sold out for the gospel and the glory of God. And that's what it means to live for Christ. You know, a lot of us go around saying, "Oh, I'm living for Jesus." But if we really slowed down for a minute and looked at ourselves, we would quickly discover that we're living for ourselves. We're chasing after earthly pleasure, earthly success, things that make us feel good, hobbies and dreams. We're not living for Christ. We're living for ourselves. Because if we were living for Christ, what that would mean is it would mean fruit from our labor for Jesus. That's what it means to live for Christ. And Paul in prison, Paul is not saying while he's in prison, "When I get out of here, I'm taking a vacation." Paul is in prison. He says, if I get out of here, it is going to mean more fruitful labor for the cause of Christ. That's the attitude more of us need. We need to have the attitude where we go, "You know what? I'm living for Jesus. I'm living for Christ. I am going to find a way today to serve Him. I am going to share the gospel. I am going to live for Him. I'm going to find a Sunday school class to teach. I'm going to find someone to encourage. I'm going to find someone to love on and share Christ with. I'm living for Christ." But we cannot live for Christ while consumed with living for ourselves. So today, that's my challenge for you. I want to challenge you to really be serious about living for Christ. Paul was. Paul did not let the aspect of prison or death deter him from truly living for Christ. I don't know about you, but I know about me. And I need to do an even better job at living for Christ. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the things we enjoy, the things that bring us happiness and pleasure, to where our life is not really for Christ. I'm challenging you today, along with myself, to truly begin to live for Christ. Living for Christ looks like laboring for Christ. It looks like ministering to others. It looks like loving others. It looks like sharing the gospel. It looks like warning people of the judgment of God that is coming. It looks like bearing one another's burdens. Love like Christ today. And when you love like Him, you are living for Him. Live for Christ today.